The final way we will test the accuracy of the Book of Mormon is to examine the ancestry of the Native Americans. The Church has consistently taught that the principal ancestors of the Native Americans were the Lamanites. Joseph Smith taught that the Book of Mormon tells of two great races, and that the second race, the Nephites and the Lamanites, came directly from the city of Jerusalem about 600 years before Christ. They were principally Israelites of the descendants of Joseph. The principal nation of the second race, the Nephites, fell in battle towards the close of the 4th century. The remnants are the Indians that now inhabit this country. He also taught, the Book of Mormon is a record of the forefathers of our western tribes of Indians. By it we learn that our western tribes of Indians are descendants from that Joseph that was sold into Egypt. This doctrine has been continually preached from then to the current day. President Hinckley taught that it has been a very interesting thing to see the descendants of Father Lehi in the congregations that have gathered in the Ecuador Temple. So many of these people have the blood of Lehi in their veins.
You Mormons, you have pretty odd views on Indians. That they're dark-skinned and cursed.
And there stood two boys, each about 19, in white starched short-sleeved shirts, and they had little name tags that identified them as official representatives of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they said they had a message for me from God. And they told me the story all about this guy named Lehi who lived in Jerusalem in 600 BC. And God came to Lehi and said to him, "Put your family on a boat and I will lead you out of here." And God did lead them. He led them to America. I said, America? From Jerusalem to America by boat in 600 BC? And they said, yes. Then they told me how Lehi and his descendants reproduced, and over the course of 600 years there were two great races of them, the Nephites and the Lamanites. And the Nephites were totally, totally good, each and every one of them, and the Lamanites were totally bad and evil, every single one of them, just bad to the bone. The Lamanites were able to kill all the Nephites, all but one guy, this guy named Mormon, who managed to survive by hiding in the woods. And he made sure this whole story was written down in reformed Egyptian hieroglyphics chiseled onto gold plates, which he then buried near Palmyra, New York. Well, I was just on the edge of my seat. I said, what happened to the Lamanites? And they said, well, they became our Native Americans here in the U.S. And I said, so you believe the Native Americans are descended from a people who were totally evil? And they said, yes.
So, why you want to be in business with us, huh?
We're not really Mormons, and I'm not sure that's really part of the deal anymore.
Well, that's right, Margie, it's not.
Yeah, but you believe in Book of Mormon, yeah? Yeah. And in Book of Mormon it says very specifically that Indians are loathsome, dark-skinned Lamanites. And just in case you didn't notice, Jerry is Indian. So, is he going to have to be turned white and delightsome?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean...
The Book of Mormon was specifically written to the Lamanites. The title page states, "Wherefore it is an abridgment of the record of the people of Nephi, and also of the Lamanites, written to the Lamanites, who are a remnant of the house of Israel." Joseph Smith said that the angel Moroni told him that the Book of Mormon was an account of the former inhabitants of this, the North American, continent. Now, the best way we have to find out someone's ancestry is to look at their DNA. The mitochondrial and Y chromosome DNA markers can be used to show how closely related different groups of people are to each other and show a chronology of their migrations.
DNA consists of two intertwining strands, which are basically joined-up chemicals called nucleotides. When DNA copies itself, the copies aren't always perfect. So sometimes the wrong nucleotide will be put in place, in this case adenine instead of cytosine. If that isn't corrected, the pairing nucleotide will also be wrong, so you've got yourself a mutation, a marker. If the marker is on mitochondrial DNA, that marker will be passed down through every female descendant without alteration. If it's on Y chromosome DNA, it'll be passed down through every male descendant without alteration. So if we find a marker in people today, we can trace it back through thousands of generations to find out when and where it started. Now imagine if all these people were migrating. This group stays put, this group moves north, And in this group, headed east, a baby boy is born with a unique marker on his Y chromosome. The baby grows up and has male children who also carry the same marker. As the group continues its migration, some tribes settle and others keep moving eastwards. Like a leaky boat, the movement leaves in its wake a trail of descendants with the red genetic marker. So by checking the DNA of people living today, we find those with the same genetic markers. Because the mutations happen at a fairly regular rate, these ancestral markers can even be dated, so the timescale on this map marks the progress of each migration. Our ancestors moved into the heart of Europe and Asia, then later across a land bridge into the Americas.
There have been hundreds of DNA studies of the Native Americans from North, South, and Central America, and they all show that their ancestors migrated to North America from Asia starting around 15,000 years ago. These findings support the archaeological and anthropological evidences that previously had suggested the same migrations. There is no scientifically accepted evidence for any Hebrew ancestry for the Native Americans. This is in direct conflict with the teachings and the revelations of Joseph Smith.
And he did preach some really weird stuff that you can prove is not true, like the Mormons believe that the Indians, the American Indians, are a lost tribe of Israel. Well, DNA testing shows that is not true.
Right. That's only if you believe in DNA testing. I've heard all this I don't even know what DNA means, so take your DNA and stick up your ass.
An apologetic response that I used to believe was that the small group of original Lamanites intermixed with the huge native population that was already here. This is why they were more numerous than the Nephites, this is why they had the skin color change, and this is why we couldn't find any Hebrew DNA. However, this contradicts the Book of Mormon account, where Lehi teaches his sons, "And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. Wherefore I, Lehi, have obtained a promise, that inasmuch as those whom the Lord God shall bring out of the land of Jerusalem shall keep his commandments, they shall prosper upon the face of the land, and they shall be kept from all other nations, that they may possess this land unto themselves." Even if this did not dismiss the apologetic view, the Lamanites are gone, either by extinction or they intermix to the point where there is not a trace of their DNA left. We do not know who the Lamanites are. So what are we to make of the promises made to and the revelations about the Lamanites that are recorded in the Doctrine and Covenants? The church leadership knows about this problem. In 2002, President Hinckley was asked about this question by a German reporter who was covering the Olympics. If there was ever a need for revelation about an issue that is facing the modern church, this certainly qualifies. So what kind of prophetic insight did he have about this issue?
What will be your position when DNA analysis will show that in the history never had been an immigration from Israel to North America? It could be that the scientists will find it out.
It hasn't happened. That hasn't been determined yet. All I can say is that's speculative. No one really knows the answer to that, not at this point.
He had none. He simply dismissed the evidence as being speculative and incomplete. He was either ignorant about the veracity of the science of DNA analysis, or purposely obfuscated the issue so he could avoid the question. DNA analysis is not a speculative science, but a very solid science.
Tracing our ancestry uses exactly the same techniques used in determining paternity and convicting criminals. If fundamentalists want to reject the techniques that prove our origins and migrations out of Africa, then they have to reject the same DNA techniques that help convict rapists and murderers. Now that's a tough call for evangelical preachers.
The fact that there are no group of people who we can call Lamanites leaves the Book of Mormon without its intended audience. This is the big problem with the historicity of the Book of Mormon as I see it. The main purpose of the text was to show unto the remnant of the house of Israel, the Lamanites, what great things the Lord hath done for their fathers, and that they may know the covenants of the Lord, that they are not cast off forever. The fact that the Native Americans are not Lamanites invalidates not just the historicity of the text, but also the main purpose of the Book of Mormon.